moments I think you should know about from episode 20 of Beyond the Gates. But first, as promised, I did reach out to Maurice Johnson. Of course, you know, he plays Ted Richardson, and that role has been recast. I asked him what was the official reason for him leaving Beyond the Gates, and he says he's not going to comment on it until after his run ends on the show in May. So we're going to keep it pushing because there's a lot to get to in this episode, and we'll find out more from him in May. So, the recap. The biggest thing that happened on the show today is Naomi is taking on her dad. She met up with the women who were accusing Mike of sexual harassment. And of course, in this episode, we get some scenes with Mike, Tomas, and Bill in the office, and he's making inappropriate jokes. He even starts making jokes about Haley. And that's where Bill says, you know, hey, you got to stop this dude, draws the line. And I think that is so indicative how so many, especially men, are in the workplace. You know, they may see something, not call it out, but whenever it directly impacts them, then they're able to draw the line. And so, yeah, Naomi shows up at the very end of the show, and she doesn't say much to him. He actually texts Naomi, "I love you," and he thinks that's why she's come to the office. And then Bill is served right in front of her, and he opens it up, and he's like, "I thought you came here to reconcile." So that's going to be a can of worms for their family. And I think Naomi has a great case because these three women are willing to come forward and explain how Mike sexually harassed them. And whenever they turned him down, he demoted them or fired them. And Bill even said he would get rid of the guy if he didn't win so many cases. So yeah, it is so, it's so nice to see how they are drawing from themes in the real world and putting it in the show because that type of stuff happens all the time. But speaking of contracts, lawyers, Dani, yes, Dani meets with these two fangirls. It's a guy and a girl, but the guy's gay. Anyway, Dani meets with these two people, Jonathan and Julia. They are obsessed with Dani. They love her shotgun wedding moment. They love the flowers. They loved everything. And so she's meeting with them for the fashion show for Chelsea. And of course, as we know, Chelsea is doesn't she doesn't want to model anymore. She doesn't know how to tell her mom this. Anyway, she shows up. Dani's in control of the meeting. You can kind of tell she's setting everything up. We get a scene with them leaving, and then Dani says, "Hey, I know you want to do more. I know you want to expand your brand and do all this." And Chelsea's like, "Oh, you know?" And she says, "Yes. This is why I've locked you into a 3-year deal with this fashion show that we're doing, the first gen fashion show." And Chelsea's like, "Oh my gosh, no." And she looks over the contract and says, "Mom, I can't do this. I don't want to model." And then that's where we get cut off with Dani, and she's like gobsmacked that her daughter doesn't want to model. Now we also get some scenes with Vernon and Anita. Their biggest scenes were with Martin. They don't want him running for president. They came out and said he did something very bad, and many people know about it, and at least one person can't be trusted. That's Bill. Martin is dead set on running for president. He pretty much said, "Wow, you told me all my life I could do anything, be anything, and supported me. And now you're telling me I can't do this one thing. You can sleep in the Lincoln room whenever I'm president." And in that scene, we see Smitty come to the country club, which I wonder how close they live. Logistics, we don't talk about that in soap operas. But Smitty is bringing Martin his phone um, and overhears this conversation and then walks out. And so the scene at the very end of the show that we get with Martin and Smitty is Smitty saying, "Dude, you're running for president and you decided not to tell me." So yeah, some angst in that relationship, and I think it was um, very telling that Anita and Vernon were like, if this comes out, it's going to not only ruin Martin, but also Smitty and the kids. So Martin clearly killed someone at some point. Like, we don't know how it's going to all come out because he's probably going to put his name out there to run for office, and then someone's going to find it, or someone's going to find someone that's willing to talk if they're paid, and it'll add to this layer of what did Martin do that we've had since pretty much the first week of the Beyond the Gates. Anyway, I think I covered a little bit of everything in this recap. Um, there was a scene where Dani, in the very beginning, she asked for orange juice at the country club, and then she got a splash of vodka in it. She was offered a Bellini, a blueberry Bellini, I think that's what it was, from the server, which he could offer me anything. all the extras, yes, we love the casting department for that. But then she doesn't drink it, or she runs off before it gets there because of the meeting. And Vernon actually is talking to her during this time. He picks it up and drinks the orange juice and realizes, oh, there's vodka in it. And it's like 8 a.m., 9 a.m., whatever. And then she comes back and gets the drink. And so I think touching on Dani's potential alcoholism, I think that's going to be a theme that they bring up as well. And then Vernon and Anita, before they had the conversation with Martin, um, Vernon said, it's so nice to see Dani back in it. I'm glad she has this modeling thing, taking care of Chelsea. And Anita pretty much said, I'm going to burst your bubble. I think she said burst your balloon. Should have been bubble, whatever. Um, and then she tells him, and he's like, okay, well, we're going to weather the storm that is Dani. Because if I can end on one thing, I think they have enabled Dani all of her life. She was the baby. She got to do whatever she wanted. And yeah, she sacrificed her career to raise her family. But yeah, I feel like, especially Vernon, they just handled her so delicately. And I think that's why we see her actions play out the way they do. I mean, taking a gun to a wedding and then not going to jail. If I brought a gun to a wedding and shot it, I'd be in jail. But I'm not a Dupree and I don't come from a wealthy family. Anyway, I think I covered everything. Please, thank you so much for watching this video. If you watched it all the way through, and if you think I should have included anything else, please let me know. And I will see you tomorrow from a destination unknown. I'm going on a trip, but it's not going to stop me from keeping up with Beyond the Gates.